Dust swirled, steel clashed, a roar rose from warring empires. Destinies hung, trembling between earth and sky. But then, a shift, a daring move. The underdog, with fire in their spirit, began to turn the tide. Lines shattered, the mighty stumbled. Ambitions crumbled to dust, a humbling retreat. Defeat's bitter taste settled. News reached a distant throne, chilling the air. An empire, vast and proud, felt a deep, unsettling tremble. Can one distant fort, a single forgotten clash, truly shake the vast foundations of an entire empire? Imagine an empire at its zenith, power stretching like a golden sundae. Unchallenged, seemingly eternal it stood. Yet, from these rugged lands, a new power dared to rise. Audacious, nimble, dreaming of true freedom. At its heart, a name still echoes: Salher, more than stone, a crucible where destinies were forged. We journey deep into that clash now, understanding the why, truly feeling its world-changing, profound consequences. The year was 1672, a specific moment when fate's quiet hand began turning history's great, heavy wheel. On one side, 50,000 souls, an overwhelming force, an empire's might, confidently marching towards its dominance. Against them, 40,000. Fewer in number, yes, but fueled by something far greater than mere count. This was more than territory. It was the empire's very soul. Its belief in invincibility now questioned. For the other, a nation's destiny hung precariously. A yearning for freedom, a fight to truly be. This is an epic tale, not just steel and blood. It's about spirits clashing, a true saga. We stand at history's precipice, ready to uncover layers of ambition, defiance, and profound human courage. Why did this happen? What currents of power, pride, longing led these forces to this moment? And its consequences? They echoed far beyond the battlefield, shaping destinies for millions, for generations. Come closer, my friend. Let us trace these ancient footsteps and feel the heartbeat of that pivotal past. History isn't mere dates. It's a tapestry woven from human hopes, fears, triumphs, and losses. Prepare to witness an empire's tremble, a fort's defiance, a battle that forever changed the Indian subcontinent. This is Salher 1672, a story not to be forgotten, etched deep into the ancient soul of this land. Imagine, for a moment, the heart of India, blossoming into the 17th century, a land immense and vibrant. It was a time when a colossal power, the Mughal Empire, stood at its most formidable height. Its dominion stretched far, from the distant valleys of Afghanistan to the bustling Deccan plateaus. Cities like Agra and Delhi weren't just centers of power. They were pulsating hearts of opulence. The wealth flowing through its veins was beyond measure, almost mythical in its sheer abundance. Diamonds from Golconda, silks from Bengal, spices from the coast, all converged here. Such splendor hinted at a deeper power, a vast infrastructure supporting this magnificent edifice. At its helm, Emperor Aurangzeb, a man of profound conviction and relentless, singular ambition. His dream was clear: to unite every corner of Hindustan under one unyielding banner. And to achieve this, he commanded an army unlike any other, a truly unparalleled military machine. The very ground trembled with the might of his legions, their elephants formidable engines of war. Thousands upon thousands of cavalry, disciplined and fearsome, ready to sweep across any frontier. Their arsenal was state-of-the-art, a deadly combination of steel, gunpowder, and unwavering resolve. Logistics, supply lines, engineering marvels, every detail orchestrated with chilling efficiency. This wasn't just a collection of warriors, it was a highly organized, professional fighting force. The very sight of its banners, its proud standards, struck fear into many hearts. Many had tried to resist. All eventually had been brought to heel, quietly submitting. Whispers of its invincibility spread like wildfire, a truth accepted across vast distances. Its march seemed utterly unstoppable, a slow, inevitable tide consuming all in its path. From the deepest jungles to the highest peaks, The Mughal shadow lengthened year by year. Administration, law, justice, all were slowly but surely woven into the Mughal tapestry. This wasn't merely conquest, it was the consolidation of a dream, a vast, unbroken dominion. For common folk, life continued, often overshadowed by the grand designs of emperors far away. Even the diverse cultures and kingdoms were slowly, subtly, being drawn into its formidable orbit. Aurangzeb's will was the engine, driving this colossal enterprise towards absolute and total supremacy. This moment, 1672, represented the very zenith, the absolute pinnacle of Mughal might. The sky above seemed to belong to them, the future, their manifest and inevitable destiny. No one could fathom a serious challenge to this behemoth. Not yet, not truly. This was the colossal, seemingly unshakable empire, the formidable adversary against whom all would be measured, a silent, powerful presence, dominating the land, setting the grand stage for history's next act. From these ancient hills, a new spirit stirred, a whisper against the mighty winds of empire. Simple folk, rooted to their land, watched as distant shadows lengthened across their cherished homes. Here, in the vast Deccan where empires clashed, a small flame of defiance began to truly glow, and at its heart, a man, Shivaji, emerged. His vision, clear, untamed, deeply personal. He spoke not of conquest, but of freedom, awakening a dormant pride in every simple soul. Under his gaze, scattered communities found common cause, binding their fates together, unbreakable. Their strength lay not in numbers, but in cunning, in knowing every hidden path, every whispering tree. Guerrilla tactics, swift as a mountain cat, striking then vanishing, bewildered mighty imperial armies always. The terrain itself became their ally, their fortress, their silent sentinel against overwhelming odds. Every sword, every shield, carried the weight of ancestral lands, a fierce resolve burning bright. This was a fight for more than land. It was for dignity, for the very soul of a people. A deep yearning for independence pulsed through every village. A shared dream whispered softly now. Generations had lived under distant rule, but a new dawn promised a different story, their own. The vast Mughal empire, seemingly unshakable, felt a tremor, a persistent tremor from below. What began as a localized rebellion soon blossomed into a direct, undeniable challenge to their authority. The emperor's grand armies, accustomed to easy victories, found themselves ensnared in an elusive, tireless struggle. The Deccan, a heartland of India, became the crucible where destiny would soon be forged. Its fertile plains, its rich resources, made it a prize coveted by every empire's greedy eye. Control of this land meant control of the south, a strategic imperative for any ambitious ruler. And scattered across this rugged tapestry were forts, sentinel giants watching over the land. They were not just stones, they were the very sinews of power, vital to hold, impossible to ignore. Each fort, a world unto itself, housed communities, supplies, and the very will to resist now. This was a high-stakes chess game, played across a grand, unforgiving board with human lives. Every move, every capture, echoed with the fate of millions, shaping the future's uncertain path. The Mughals, sensing the tide turning, knew this rebellion could not be allowed to fester. They had to crush this Maratha spark, extinguish its flame before it became an unquenchable inferno. Resources were poured into this endeavor, a desperate push to reassert absolute, undisputed dominance. And amidst these strategic strongholds, one fort stood out, a name whispered with bated breath. Salher, a crucial strategic point, a gateway, held the key to ultimate regional control. Its fate, the fate of the Deccan, hung precariously in the balance, waiting for the inevitable. The emperor's brow, a canvas of worry. Whispers of a new power stirred distant lands. Shivaji, a name whispered with defiance, echoed in the grand halls of Mughal power. Reports flowed like a troubled river, each telling of Maratha raids, growing bolder, relentless. The emperor's patience, a vast ocean, now felt a rising tide of vexation. He walked through his gilded cage, contemplating this persistent thorn in his mighty side. From distant hills, Shivaji's shadow stretched, disrupting Mughal peace and prosperity. The sheer audacity of it all, a small flame threatening to engulf a vast forest, this nascent Maratha star, burning ever brighter, demanded the emperor's decisive hand. He knew, deep in his imperial heart, this challenge could no longer be ignored. The empire's reach, while vast, felt stretched, vulnerable against this rising spirit. The Deccan, a fertile ground for rebellion, now simmered with a fierce, independent fire. The time for contemplation passed. A firm decree began to form within his mind. No more. This burgeoning Maratha power must be utterly, completely, crushed forever. The imperial seal, heavy with authority, awaited its solemn, final purpose. His will, absolute and unyielding, now committed to ink, to history's judgment. A call went out, across the land, to rally the empire's formidable might. The message was clear: silence the rebel, secure the troubled south, reclaim control. This was not mere suppression. It was a crusade, a battle for the empire's soul. The very foundations of Mughal rule felt a tremor, demanding decisive, forceful action. His empire, sprawling and ancient, would not bend to a mountain chieftain's will. The air crackled with unspoken tension. A monumental shift was now truly underway. The die was cast. The great engine of imperial vengeance began to turn. Two formidable men, pillars of the empire, stood ready to answer the summons. Ikhlas Khan, seasoned in battle, understood the weight of the emperor's expectations. Balol Khan, a commander of fierce reputation, prepared his heart for the coming storm. No small skirmish this. An army of immense scale would march, unwavering. 50,000 souls, a sea of warriors, gathered under the Mughal banner. Each soldier, a cog in this colossal war machine, geared for the distant Deccan. The logistics were staggering, a testament to the empire's vast, enduring power. Their objective: to sweep through the land, extinguishing every spark of rebellion. The clanking of steel, the murmur of men, a symphony of impending conflict. Discipline, training, and imperial might combined for this decisive, final push. Under this banner, the empire would reclaim what it saw as its rightful dominion. Like a slow, unstoppable tide, the Grand Army began its southward journey. Their footsteps, thousands strong, echoed a promise of imperial restoration and dominance. Miles stretched before them, a grueling path to Maratha strongholds and defiance. Neutralize Maratha bases. Secure the vital arteries of trade and passage. Every fort, a defiant challenge, stood in the path of imperial ambition, their gaze fixed on the horizon toward the heartland of Shivaji's growing power. The Deccan, a land of mountains and loyalties, awaited this overwhelming force. And then, Salher, a name that would soon echo through the annals of history. The vital sentinel, guardian of the Maratha lands, stood silently, awaiting its fate. The stage was set. A monumental confrontation loomed between empires and destinies. History held its breath, ready to record the clash that would shake the very earth. The gentle breath of dawn often hides the brewing tempests of history, a quiet before the profound shift. Simple lives, bound to the rhythm of the earth, yet keenly sensing the heavy shadow drawing near. His gaze, a silent prayer, sought answers in the shifting sands, portents of what was to come. For days, the news had trickled in, a chilling whisper growing into a mighty roar across the land. They marched with the weight of an empire, banners proclaiming a dominion that seemed as vast as the sky. 50,000 souls, a moving mountain of steel and purpose, a force seemingly without end. Confidence etched deep into every face, born from conquests spanning generations, a legacy of unbroken triumph. They believed themselves invincible, their destiny preordained, their might unmatched across the vast expanse. Each hoofbeat echoed their imperial decree. We are here to claim what is rightfully ours. Order, discipline, and an unshakable belief in their own supremacy fueled every weary step forward. Their initial successes were swift, brutal. each small victory tightening the noose around Maratha hopes. One by one, the smaller outposts fell, like dominoes collapsing under an inevitable crushing force. Each new banner unfurled sent a shiver through the Deccan, announcing the Mughal presence ever louder. The fortress of Salher, a beacon of Maratha resistance, found itself increasingly isolated, surrounded by shadows. The air grew thick with tension, a palpable fear of the siege that seemed inevitable, unyielding. Hope seemed a fragile thing, a flickering candle in the face of an oncoming tempest, a daunting prospect. But in the quiet chambers of Shivaji's mind, a different kind of storm was brewing, a daring thought. He knew the traditional ways, the guerrilla tactics, yet this moment demanded something profoundly different. To wait for a siege was to slowly wither, to concede defeat before the true battle had even begun. A bold, audacious decision began to form. Meet the Mughals, not behind walls, but in the open. An open field confrontation? It was a gamble, a roll of the dice against overwhelming odds. For the Marathas, accustomed to guerrilla warfare, this was a departure, a radical, unheard-of challenge. Could they stand against a force twice their number, on ground chosen by neither, by fate alone? But the vision was clear. This battle was not just for Salher, but for the very soul of the Deccan. The words spread like wildfire, igniting courage in hearts that had known only vigilance and quiet struggle. A rapid deployment was needed, a convergence of strength, a swift response to the impending threat. Prataprao Gujar, a name whispered with reverence, prepared his cavalry, their swords gleaming in the moonlight. Morapant Pingal, the strategist, organized his ranks, ensuring every warrior understood his vital role. Each blade honed, each heart steeled, for a fight that promised either glorious victory or tragic sacrifice. They rode not just with speed, but with a quiet ferocity, a deep-seated love for their homeland. 40,000 strong, a defiant force, ready to challenge an empire that had never known true fear. The rhythm of their determination, a silent oath sworn under the watchful eyes of ancient, knowing hills. Their objective, to intercept, to disrupt the Mughal juggernaut before it could ever reach Salher's gates. The horizon beckoned, not with a promise of peace, but with the stark reality of imminent, brutal conflict. Each warrior knew, deep in his bones, the immense stakes, the sacrifice required, the future hanging. The great Maratha gambit was now set in motion, an audacious play against overwhelming numerical advantage. They carried not just weapons, but the hopes of a nascent kingdom, the dreams of a free people. And there it was, spread across the plains, the vast, confident Mughal host, awaiting their challenge. A collective breath held, a silent prayer uttered, as two titans stood poised on the brink of history. This was it, the defining moment, the battle that would echo through the valleys of time. The quiet tension was almost unbearable, a heavy blanket draped over the anticipation of the coming storm. A silent acknowledgement passed between foes. This would be no ordinary skirmish, no easy conquest. The future of the Deccan, its very identity, hung precariously, balanced on the edge of a sword. And as the sun climbed higher, the stage was set for a confrontation that would shake empires. The sun, a hesitant witness, touched the peaks. A deep silence pregnant with destiny settled upon a new chapter. Below, two mighty forces, vast and resolute, stirred from their slumber. The earth itself seemed to hold its breath. Salher Fort, a sentinel of stone, stood firm. Its ancient heart beat strong, ready to face the coming storm. The Mughal hosts, an ocean of steel and ambition, spread wide. Their power, a grand statement across the terrain. The Maratha warriors, like shadows among the hills, watched. Their numbers fewer, their spirit burned fiercely bright. Each blade honed, each heart steeled. For family, for freedom, for their very way of life, they stood. Commanders burdened by countless lives scanned the land. Strategies formed, decisions made, altering fates forever. The space between them, a silent challenge. Two mighty wills, destined to meet in a symphony of steel. Then, a murmur grew, A ripple of movement. The great Mughal advance began, slow, then gathering speed. Hidden eyes watched every step. The Marathas, masters of the terrain, saw what others could not. Nerves taut, but hearts strong. They knew their strength lay not just in arms, but in their shared resolve. The earth began to tremble, a low hum preceding the storm. The Mughal line advanced, an inexorable tide. Drums beat, a primitive pulse. Smoke signals rose, the silent language of war, confirming the inevitable approach. Above, a solitary hawk soared, a silent observer. Below, countless lives prepared for their moment of truth. The Marathas flowed, adapting to the land. Their strategy, nimble and cunning, was their greatest ally. The gap narrowed, the air grew heavy. That profound silence, it was now but a whisper, soon to shatter. Then, a thunderous roar. The Mughal cannons awakened, spitting fire, tearing at the fragile morning air. The earth convulsed. Men staggered. But amidst the chaos, a resilience, a quiet strength, held them firm. A cry rang out, cutting through the thunder. The Maratha cavalry prepared, their horses eager for the charge. Like a sudden storm, they descended. Maratha horsemen, a whirlwind of courage, crashed into the Mughal line. The world erupted in a symphony of steel. Horse against foot, courage against numbers, lives intertwined in chaos. The Mughal line, though bruised, held. A wall of steel, unwavering, met the relentless Maratha onslaught. Muskets roared, blinding flashes. The air grew thick with smoke, the acrid scent of gunpowder choking the valley. The Battle of Salher, a terrible ballet, an entire world consumed by the ferocity of human conflict and survival. Individual courage, a flickering flame. Amidst the storm, a single warrior fought with a desperate, quiet strength. Then, the earth shook anew. War elephants, living fortresses, plunged into the fray, spreading fear. Small figures darted, brave and swift. They challenged giants, a testament to their daring and indomitable spirit. Blade met blade, grunt met scream. Here, on this dusty field, the fate of empires rested on individual grit. The battle was a tapestry of countless desperate fights. Each clash, a tiny thread in a vast unfolding drama. Arrows rained down, a deadly shower. Silent messengers of fate, seeking their marks across the swirling dust. Like ghosts, they struck then vanished. The Maratha horsemen, nimble and cunning, were a persistent stinging torment. A life extinguished, a whisper lost. In this brutal symphony, countless personal stories ended, unwritten, unheard. Hours crawled by, etched on weary faces. The relentless demands of battle began to sap both strength and hope. Amidst despair, symbols endure. A tattered flag, held aloft, became a beacon for weary, fighting souls. Even seasoned commanders questioned the cost. The enemy's resolve, a stubborn fire, burned brighter than expected. In tight spaces, courage reigned. Here, in this brutal crucible, sheer will often carved out victory. A leader's voice, a steady hand. In moments of doubt, his presence reignited the dying embers of resolve. Firearms cracked, a close, brutal intimacy. The raw sound of destruction filled the ears, chilling the very soul. Another wave of steel, a heavy charge. The Mughal cavalry pressed, seeking a decisive breach in the Maratha wall. They bent, but did not yield. The Maratha lines, resilient and swift, met force with an unyielding counterblow. Then, a whisper of movement, unseen. A cunning flank, a gambit risking everything, began to unfold. Confusion rippled through the ranks. The unexpected, a sudden blow, threatened to unravel their carefully woven order. A desperate cry for order. But the tide, once subtle, was now undeniably turning, growing with furious momentum. The scales began to tip. A great empire, so sure of its might, felt the first unsettling tremor. A hush falls, then a whisper of change, like the turning of a great, silent river. Yet, even in chaos, a brilliant mind can see patterns, guiding fate with a quiet hand. A slow, deliberate dance began, a withdrawal meant to lure the confident predator closer. They pursued, believing victory was theirs, unaware of the unseen trap tightening around them. Then, like a sudden storm, Maratha cavalry emerged from shadows, enveloping Mughal flanks. Their leaders, with hearts afire, rode into the fray, a thunderous wave breaking through. The grand Mughal lines, once unyielding, fractured like ancient pottery against this sudden force. Their fighting spirit, a raw, untamed fire, shone brighter than any steel, fierce and true. This was not just ferocity, it was discipline, honed by trials, a quiet strength holding fast. The Mughal numbers, vast as a desert, now felt scattered, their unity fraying thread by thread. For when hearts do not beat as one, even a mighty host can lose its way, tragically. The spirit began to break, a subtle, devastating crack within the heart of their vast army. Their famed lines, once an iron wall, now swayed, then crumbled, a tragic dance of retreat. Brave commanders, pillars of their strength, fell silently, their last breaths mingling with dust. Others, bewildered and broken, were captured, their once proud banners now fallen, humbled. The grand army dissolved into chaos, a desperate, tragic flight echoing across the scarred land. Then, a profound silence descended, broken only by the whispers of wind carrying untold stories. Salher fort, a silent sentinel, stood firm against the twilight, now belonging to a different dream. It was a fortress meant to fall times to times them, a prize for their vast, unyielding imperial hunger. Instead, it became the unyielding bedrock, a testament to defiance, solid and profoundly resonant. Upon that rock, the grand ambition of an empire, like a fragile dream, slowly, surely shattered. The echoes of victory and defeat lingered, shaping futures, whispering tales to the silent hills. Thus, a tide turned at Salher, a quiet seismic shift in the heart of a vast empire. The grand Mughal army, once so proud, now dissolved into a panicked retreat, a terrible sight indeed. Their formations shattered, a desperate flight began, each step a prayer for escape, a silent, desperate plea. But the Marathas, like a rising, relentless tide, pressed their advantage. No quarter was given. The swift pursuit cut through despairing ranks. Many fell, their last breath mingling with the dust. Into the unforgiving embrace of forests and hills, they scattered, a desperate, lonely struggle for survival. And so, the victors began to collect the spoils of this monumental triumph, a testament to courage. Thousands of horses, once carrying imperial might, now joined the Maratha ranks. A stunning sight. Even magnificent elephants, symbols of Mughal power, were led away, now prizes of war. Abandoned wagons and grand tents lay strewn, whispering tales of a hasty, humiliating flight. Treasury chests, heavy with riches, were discovered. The empire's wealth now fueled another's rise. And among the captives, even proud Mughal generals, their honor stripped bare. A profound humiliation, but the cost of this victory and defeat was etched in blood. A somber, painful truth. Tens of thousands of Mughal soldiers lay fallen, a vast, silent testament to their empire's vulnerability. Perhaps 20,000 souls lost, a casualty count that would shake the very foundations of any empire. For the Marathas, too, the victory came at a price. Their fallen, though fewer, were mourned deeply. 1,000 or two, their bravery forged this triumph. Their sacrifice, a quiet, powerful echo. Far away, a lone rider journeyed through the dust, carrying news that would shatter imperial tranquility. In Delhi's opulent court, Aurangzeb sat, unknowingly awaiting tidings that would wound his proud heart. The news arrived like a thunderclap. Disbelief rippled through the esteemed court, a collective gasp. The emperor's stern facade barely concealed the shock. A deep, unsettling tremor shook his inner world. The profound humiliation of such a loss against an insurgent force was a bitter public pill that a fledgling, often dismissed, force could inflict such a blow, defied all imperial logic. And so, the mighty empire wobbled, a scar left upon its soul, a warning for future generations. The dust has settled, battle's echoes faded, yet Salher's silent peaks hold stories still profoundly felt. Before Salher, they were raiders. Here, against overwhelming odds, a new kind of power emerged. No longer just shadows in the hills, they stood shoulder to shoulder, a true army, unyielding, brave. Shivaji, already a legend, became a beacon of hope, his name whispered with new reverence. Hearts swelled with pride, spirits soared. They knew now what was truly possible for their people. The grand Mughal banner, once inviolable, felt a tremor. Their perceived invincibility began to fray. The empire's soldiers carried a new weight, the bitter taste of unexpected, profound public defeat. Armies cost fortunes. Salher drained coffers, diverting precious resources from countless other grand ambitions. Even the emperor, in his silent chambers, conceded Shivaji's strategic genius and formidable, growing might. The mighty empire, seemingly unshakable, felt a deep, unsettling tremor. A new reality dawned. Their grand southern march, once assured, now faltered. Salher reshaped the very map of ambition. This was not an end, but a beginning. Salher lit the path for a burgeoning Maratha future. Salher became a defiant whisper, echoing through time, foretelling the great empire's slow twilight. Such stories endure, reminding us, even vast empires feel the human spirit when united.